Dude, I'm broke. I mean, I've got twin daughters who just started college, the third kid right on their heels, and on top of that, we got hit with the trifecta of unexpected healthcare, auto, and home expenses, one after the other, and man, my story isn't particularly harrowing and definitely not unique. Everyone I know is having trouble making ends meet. Each trip to the grocery store is an exercise in eye popping and head shaking of prices that must be for two or three of these things, not just the one. I am not starting a business in this shitstorm. No way. Okay, maybe just one. Here's why. To clarify, I've never been the kind of entrepreneur who is motivated by money, and maybe that part of my personality is why I'm broke when others aren't. But it's also the part of my personality that has forced me to learn to put value over flash in every aspect of my life, including the businesses I found and those I run with. I've never founded a startup at a good time. Started my first company right before the dot-com crash and ran it profitably for 13 years. My second startup was born on the downslope of what would become the Great Recession and took off like a rocket in 2011, eventually to exit. My third startup launched a month into the pandemic, outcome TBD. So you can't tell me it doesn't make sense to start and grow your business during a recession. Here's the problem. Unlike your garden variety economic collapse, things right now aren't exactly bad. I mean, they feel bad. It's the weirdest economy I've ever seen because all of these clouds don't have any silver lining. We're churning through job cuts, but talent's still super expensive. Consumers are still spending, but not in any aspirational way that suggests a desire to try new things. Businesses have cash reserves, but are reluctant to put that money to work. Two things are for sure. One, all of that can be pretty much blamed on everything being crazy expensive. And two, all of that just kills innovation, which is the fuel of new business. So in that regard, this economy looks nothing like 2020 or 2010 or 2000. It looks like 1980. Well, damn, even I don't remember 1980. So I stopped typing here and I read up on the economy in 1980. You know what? It's almost exactly like where we are now, except there's no recession, but that's just quibbling. So how do you start a business in this economy? I got this. Indulge me in the confession of another weird personality trait. Every year at about this time, it's late November, early December, I start doing things that most normal people would call New Year's resolutions. I always start doggedly pursuing a campaign for better health, working out, dieting, the whole nine. I used to think I did this just for the smug satisfaction of passing all the new runners in my neighborhood that first week of January, when they're all wheezing and puffing and I've got a 2-month head start. But after my third startup was born during a recession and eventually succeeded, I realized maybe I was living what I had learned, that nothing worth doing comes quick. And if you're going to succeed at anything in life, you'll have to wade through the muck of preparation, failure, disappointment, stagnation, and slow growth. In other words, if you want to be at the right place at the right time, you've got to get yourself to the right place for when the right time happens. Now, talk is cheap, but in this case, in this economy, that's a good thing. Ideation is cheap. Research, experimentation, learning, they're all inexpensive, if not free. You ask me how to start a business when everyone, including you, is broke? Get the cheap stuff out of the way. Listen, don't take this as gospel. I'm going to go way out on a limb here because it's kind of what I do. But just between you and me, it's time to build a vanity-style, eyeball-hungry, freemium, shitty metric-chasing new business. For now. I'm only half joking about this. Let's use the most recent economic disaster as an example, the pandemic. When the world stopped on its axis in 2020, goods and services weren't selling, person to person anyway. So suddenly we all got good movies straight to our home streaming services, and any bit of software that could connect people went all out for maximum market share. Sure, it was a terrible time to be alive, but at least we got 17 food delivery services all trying to pay us to use them, and stiffing the restaurants, but that's another story for another day. Here's my point. If your company wasn't already Zoom in March of 2020, it wasn't going to be Zoom ever. You get there first by figuring out what you can offer for free and building an audience around that. Now fast forward. By 2022, free had remained free for too long, and then investors and boards started screaming about profitability, and now the pendulum has swung the other way. Too far? I don't know. $18 for a Big Mac combo meal? You tell me. This isn't a call I'd usually make. I'm a huge profitability guy. Like I said, it's in my blood. But then I think we're eventually going to reach a point where the incumbent companies in most industries, the ones that are charging huge markups on everything and getting away with it, Well, bloat sets in at some point, right? It's the perfect time to start a business that leans on value, and for you to inject the concept of value back into the equation by offering a free taste. Market share is there for the taking. And when you're already in position, experience has taught me that you stand a much better chance of succeeding. Fortune may no longer favor crypto, but I do think fortune favors those who act on the inflection point before everyone else. So, what's that on the horizon? More flash? Or is it a big change in how consumers perceive value? Start now, play the long game, and find out. It's dark, cold, nasty, and rainy where I am. That's why my background looks like it does. It's kind of apropos because being broke is kind of a dark subject. And listen, I'm not broke. I have a tough economic situation just like everyone else has a tough economic situation. I've been broke, and I've started companies when I've been broke, and everyone has been broke, whether due to recession or rough economic conditions or whatever it may be. And listen, I'm always going to push you to start scalable, profitable, customer-driven, revenue-first type companies. So I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek, but kind of not. Inflation always makes the incumbents greedy and lazy. When times are tough for everyone, this is always what happens during rough economic periods. The incumbents tend to rest on their laurels, overcharge, underperform. Customers get dissatisfied, and market share is there for the taking. If you're going to disrupt, do it during a recession. That's when the best startups are born. Now, it's not automatic. I'm not saying that startup is your startup, but I am saying that the macroeconomic conditions are actually in your favor. Now, if you want to dive deeper into macroeconomic conditions, high growth, customer conversion, and how to do all that, well, these posts are just the flash and the glitz to lure you into Teaching Startup to make you a better entrepreneur. Teaching Startup provides access to actionable, insightful, and honest startup advice for entrepreneurs at all levels, regardless of their connections or resources. If you become a member of Teaching Startup at teachingstartup.com, you'll get access to over 700 questions from hundreds of members, answers from hand-picked, experienced serial entrepreneurs, advice posts and member polls, plus the new Q&A comes each week in an exclusive newsletter. It's 80% of the benefit of a startup advisor and is a fraction of the cost. So you can like or subscribe, and thank you for watching my video. But if you want to support what I do, you can help me help you by becoming a member at teachingstartup.com. I appreciate you. Now go do great things.